Kia ora koutou, Markie here. So this is the retroactive jealousy channel that doesn't always talk about retroactive jealousy for reasons that are explained in other videos. One of the things that we do talk about from time to time is spoken English, because I have a bit of an issue with the bad use of English. It offends me, it hurts me, it galls me. And sorry about the effect that pointing the camera at this screen is probably having on you right now. Which might be having a similar effect, or it might be quite nice and trippy. I don't know if you can see it the way I can see it, but because I'm putting my camera at the screen, I'm getting a kind of really pretty patterns, quite kind of trippy. Anyway, one of my favourite series that's not about retroactive jealousy that I've been running on this channel for years is Improve. I can't remember what the exact title I've given to it. There's a playlist, and I'll put a link to the playlist below, which is about improving spoken, something like elegant and accurate speech, or elegant and accurate spoken English. And I started to number them. I'm not sure what number this is. I guess I probably need to go back to the playlist and work out where the numbering is, otherwise it would be difficult to follow the series. But anyway, one of the things I've noticed is people are misusing this word, tenet, and I've never actually looked it up in the dictionary before, and I never knew how it was spelt. I thought it would have a lot more T's in it than that, maybe even more N's, but there you go, it's quite economical. So credit to Oxford Languages Dictionary online there. So a principle or belief, especially one of the main principles of a religion or philosophy, the tenets of a democratic society. Now this word has become popular all of a sudden in the way that words sometimes do. And people, this is one of the things that galls me really, the way people latch on to certain things, like sheep. Not latching onto sheep, I mean being like sheep in the way that they latch onto things. But then sheep don't latch onto things either, do they? Sheep follow. So there we go. By the way, this is a very rambly channel. Maybe like crabs. Crabs latch onto things. Anyway, taking myself out of that hole. I know, and do as I do, not as I say, in terms of good English. By the way, don't base anything on how I speak when I produce my videos on YouTube. So what I don't like is the kind of the blind following. There we go, that's a better word. Like lemmings, there we go. And I had to have a simile there, didn't I? So, so lots of people will pick up on something and suddenly everybody's using it, and everybody's using the word tenet. And it's a good word, I think that's, fine. But if you're going to latch onto words, for goodness sake, use them properly. Okay, so we've explained the definition. I don't really need to explain that anymore. But I find, because I use YouTube, I'm the biggest consumer of YouTube. I listen to loads of YouTube videos, and loads of people are using the word tenet. But it seems to me that equally the same number of people are using the word tenant when they're trying to use the word tenet. So obviously they've heard tenet, misheard it. Tenant obviously is a much more familiar word, because many of us are tenants. A tenant is somebody that rents a property, or lives in a property, I guess. Lives in and rents a property. Or it could be commercial, couldn't it? You could be a commercial, you could be a tenant in terms of you could rent a shop or a workshop. So people are more familiar with the word tenant and less familiar with the word tenets. They're confusing the two, and people are talking about, these are some of the main tenets of Christianity. So the main tenets of Christianity would be, I guess, that would be people that live in Christian housing associations. And then actually you could kind of suppose call yourself a tenant of Christianity. So tenant, T-E-N-A-N-T, as in David Tennant. Who I've worked with, by the way, and I've done, this is just a plug really, I did that deliberately. I was in Doctor Who, I was a Doctor Who monster, and I worked with David Tennant. So there's videos and playlist about Doctor Who stuff if you want to follow that up, but yeah, that's just a bonus. I'm not charging you for that. So if you're going to use this word, and why not, it's a fine word, use it properly. T-E-N-E-T, tenet, as opposed to T-E-N-A-N-T, tenant. There we go. That makes me think of lieutenant or lieutenant, so we'll throw that in as a bonus tangent. This channel, by the way, is full of tangents, but they're good tangents. They're rather lovely meanderings through lovely meadows, meadow meanderings. So we'll throw this in for free because it's about language. So the word lieutenant and lieutenant, both spelt the same. In British English, we call it lieutenant. In American English, they call it lieutenant. Lieutenant is kind of how it's spelt, so that's the kind of phonetic way of saying it, but we say lieutenant. Probably comes from French, haven't bothered to look it up. And it's a military, is it a military rank? Military ranks are interesting, aren't they? I think lieutenant might refer, rather in the British forces, I think it might refer to a range of ranks rather than a rank in itself. And in the British police, as far as I'm aware, and that's because the British police is weird, it's another tangent. So I'm getting my tangents, my tenants, and my tenants mixed up now. So another tangent here. The British police force is kind of weird because I say forces because there are masses of different police forces in the UK. It's broken down often onto county levels. So there are loads of different counties or shires, and many of them have their own police force. Sometimes it's combined. So, for example, you've got Devon and Cornwall. That's kind of two counties thrown together. Wiltshire is its own police force, and you've got Thames Valley, which I think is probably a combination of two different counties. But the point I was going to make is that lieutenant is or certainly not lieutenant, but lieutenant is not a rank in the police force in the UK, whereas it is in America, because of course Columbo was a lieutenant. But the reason that prompted my most recent meandering was that there could, of course, be one police force or a few police forces who are in the UK that are quirky and do have lieutenant. I don't think it's very likely, but actually lieutenant, there are still lieutenants, because you often have a Lord Lieutenant of a county, which is an ancient title, and it's one of those ancient titles where people are still appointed. So I've met a couple of the different Lord or Lady Lieutenants of Wiltshire back in my time, and so they're generally speaking they're civilians and they're volunteers. Often they seem to be members of the great and the good, so often they're quite kind of old school kind of plummy not quite aristocracy, but gentry. So there we go. Anyway, back from all the tangents now. Back in the room. Come back with me. Don't get lost on any of those little cul-de-sacs. Back in the room. Difference between tenet and tenet. Sorry, but the difference between. So I've lost it now. The difference between tenet and tenant. Okay, get it right, please, because otherwise it will really annoy me. And please do show some love to my series on elegant and accurate spoken English, because it's one of my favourite things. I really like ranting about this stuff, but it's never been particularly popular. I think because it's just buried amongst all the other stuff. People that are looking for stuff like this, don't tend to come on retroactive jealousy channels. So therefore, it's kind of it's hidden, which I think is rather sad. So please dig out that playlist and play it several times before breakfast. Excuse me. And with that, I will make my exit, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe, hit the like button, join us on Patreon, do all those kind things, and we will be with you very soon with something else. And if you're watching this at this time of year, the screen's gone blank. If you're watching, you can see a reflection of me there, and I haven't got a shirt on, so how embarrassing. It's really hot here. So Happy New Year if you're watching this at the current moment, and we'll see you soon. Lots of love.